Remember, this entire manga and every manga on this channel is hand-drawn by myself, and now you too can learn exactly how to make your own viral Dragon Ball mangas at www.makemanga.com, where you can learn directly from me. My mangas have got me on TV, on newspapers, and even earned me over $60,000 a month on Patreon alone. And now, you can click the link in the description and pinned comment of this video and do it yourself. You only need to see the website to see just how many thousands of you are taking this opportunity right now. And don't forget also, the next video to this Ultra Vegito series has already been made and is live now on my Patreon right now for over 4,500 of you incredible fans to watch after this. Again, links are in the pinned comment and description. Enjoy.
Looks like that detour in the demon realm was worth it after all. Thanks for bringing about your own end, Lucifer. Oh, he did it! Vegito! Oh, Father. So our story continues after the triumphant return of Ultra Vegito from the demon realm. His long journey finally coming to a conclusion, as on his return to the mortal realm, he would immediately outclass and near eliminate Lucifer, even with his new Omni-Devil powers. All the while, Vegeta, Jiren and Trunks would all look on with varying reactions. But the one who would be most thrilled would in fact be Trunks, possessed by an entity that calls itself Rani and Vegito's son. Staring forward with his red and cyan eyes, he would let out, "Father has come and shown me more than enough. My mother was no fool. I now know why she would choose a mortal to reproduce with. And now that he is here, a father-son introduction is needed." As with that said, the young boy in a man's body would excitedly jump over to Vegito with no fear. Approaching from behind the God Killer, but with of course, the black-haired Saiyan sensing immediately, looking out the corner of his completed seraphim eye. "What do you want? Looking to die too? Because last time I checked, I never decided you could be on my team." As coldly, Vegito would look to the Saiyan and instantly threaten him with a palpable murderous intent. Now tell me, why would I want that? True, a father can discipline his son harshly, but murder is pushing it, don't you think? Still going with that dumb story, huh? Dream on. That may be Trunks' body you've taken over, but whoever you are is no son of mine. Leave him now, before I'm forced to erase the both of you. So you have been watching and listening to me, Father. As Trunks, spreading his arms out in excitement to this interaction with his so-called father, would continue abruptly. It's no story. Surely, by now you know this. This power you have witnessed from me, and from such a young age. Where else could it have come from than you? But just as Trunks would finish saying this, he would be overcome with shock, stunned into place, sweating from his face as... Don't flatter yourself. I have no clue what kind of power you think you have, but let it be known, You're all weaklings to me! As suddenly, with such speed that even while looking straight at him, he wouldn't be able to see nor detect Vegito's movements, the God Killer would instantly appear behind Trunks, and with his finger pointed directly at his skull, as if holding a pistol and about to blow the Saiyan's brains out. Before, with an emotionless look forward, Vegito would demand, "You've got one chance to explain. Explain who and what you are without wasting my time. Where do you come from? And why do you keep claiming to be my kid of all people? I have only ever known the embrace of two women in my life, Bulma and Chi-Chi. That other brat Zyko came from an alternate timeline. I lay no claim to him either, no matter what he said." Zyko? I have yet another brother? This mentioning of the long-lost Saiyan Zyko, first seen in Season 1 before being destroyed by Vegito, immediately giving the possessed Trunks a shock to the system. I seem to get around, don't I? As a grinning Vegito, with seemingly no remorse at all for the son he killed, would let out, "The kid found me when I used to travel through timelines. He was like you, spouting nonsense about being my son, albeit less annoying than you do. He gave me a good fight, but in the end he revealed his so-called mother was a Kai, a god. And that just means curtains for him, whether I believed him or not." I see. This information leaving Trunks lost for words, before ultimately he would finally reveal himself. "My mother was no Kai, and Bulma and Chi-Chi were most definitely not the only two women you were with. At least, not that you were aware of. You see, Father, my mother is Rani, the former demon emperor of Sector 1, and mother of Dai and Lucif also. You fought her to her untimely demise, and in that battle, she had already told you that she had selected you to be the father of her child. What she didn't tell you, though, is how angels can bear children in so many ways, the easiest of which is with a partner's blood. Something of yours which was shed handsomely during your battle." That drunken witch! This kid is saying she was actually telling the truth! This reveal and confirmation straight from the demonic Saiyan's mouth, immediately widening Vegito's eyes, his heart beating fast as he begins to recall the battle with Rani and all that happened both on and off screen. Beginning to hit home, Father? Yes. And when the time came, that fool Dai intervened and attempted to smite Mother. Her angelic self remained, while her devil gene and me were removed together. And thus I was born, a crawling lone dark figure on the grounds of Sector 10, but born with the DNA of the Mother of Angels, the ultimate female goddess, the pure devil gene that once belonged to her, and the DNA of the strongest Saiyan in history, who by now had destroyers, demons, members of the 5 strongest, and God knows what else. This is the reason for my power, Father. And one day when I'm grown, you will not be able to deny it. And on reaction, as if mentally defeated, Vegito's pointed finger would begin crescenting down, his face following, as if he no longer had the energy to even hold it up high anymore, as he would just mysteriously mutter, "So what you're saying is, you are indeed part me, but you are part God too. And that just means you must die too." As suddenly lifting his head back up with a deadly scowl, the God Killer, living up to his name, would announce Trunks' death sentence, no different to Zycor, sending the possessed Saiyan from the future into a panic, as Rani's child could not have hoped to predict this. Wait! As instantaneously following his word, Vegito would immediately then jump straight into the air, his right angelic fist already pulled back. Be gone, son! As roaring forward with true power behind his clenched fist, Vegito would ultimately crush Trunks' skull with the most violent of punches, morphing the Saiyan's face instantly as his entire body would reverberate from the sudden impact. The strike being so powerful, Trunks would now immediately look like a blip in the sky, far off in the distance. Father, no! Rani's child's voice now changing in pitch, as he would be moved with such speed, his entire body composition would be transforming. Still calling me father? Fine, I'll show you who's daddy! Vegito's essence turning into pure energy before... With a blast, the God Killer would fly straight into the sky in chase of his victim. Surprise! Of course, not even a nanosecond later, already right at Trunks' doorstep, and alarmingly, with his fist yet again pulled back identically. Please! No! And of course, his attack would be as well, yet again slamming his fist into the already sore and damaged face of Trunks. Blood simply pouring out of his nose and mouth, with all the supposed son being able to do would be to beg mercy of the most merciless warrior in history. This time, impacting straight onto the ground for a planet-shaking explosion. Eat dirt! It's good for you, son! Trunks' face now splattered on the ground, creating a giant crater that only seems to increase in size as he's pushed further and further in. A zoom in on his squished-in face, as all he could think internally was, what? Evil! I will not forget this! But such thoughts of passive revenge would be meaningless when Vegito would be far from done. His downward force so strong it would begin tunneling into the ground. Swiftly changing into a barrage of black and white punches that come out with such intensity, Vegito would appear to have several uncountable limbs. this vicious attack, breaking the underground walls on all sides, creating an ant colony's tunneling system, all with his attacks alone. And it would be some wonder how Trunks would even still be alive, as his face and body would be shifted all over from side to side like a ragdoll, as now even Vegito's feet would be added to his arsenal of weapons attacking the supposed infant child. But as Trunks would now fall deeper and deeper into what looks like a bottomless pit, reaching quickly to the core of this mystery planet, his voice would weaken, as his will to live on would fade. Don't die just yet. I'm just about to reach the finale. But a clearly enjoying himself Vegito would rush right by him with a smirk before outspeeding him to the ground, landing upside down by his hands, as in a conceited attempt to give off one last massive hit, he would bend inwards his legs like a spring ready to be launched and fly high and reach your goals, kid! With a seismic double-legged kick extending out like a gunshot, the Godkiller's feet would slam straight into the screaming Trunks' back, bending it into a U-shape instantly. As like a volcanic eruption, the possessed warrior would explode out from deep within the planet's internal structure to right outside and back in the sky. Father! I will kill you! The pain bubbling to intense feelings of hatred, as all of Rani's child's admiration would shift to pure detest, screaming out until... Not if I get rid of you first, clown! All yells would be halted, when suddenly Vegito would appear right behind, grabbing Trunks and turning himself upside down, reversing the upward movement to now be pulling back down. Stop! I told you, this would be the finale! As in rapid rotation, Trunks' mouth and gums would be pulled wide open from the brutal G-forces. Until more like a pitch-black tornado than two Saiyans, Godkiller Vegito would take down his own son via an insane death spiral right back down to the ground. The impact from afar appearing both destructive and beautiful in its own right, like an astonishing lotus had just bloomed. But beauty or not, that would not be the case for the aftermath of Rani's child. Laying upside down in a slump, his legs dangling over his own head. It would seem like the bones of his spine had shattered to the point he had become completely flexible. This is no fun at all anymore! A zoom in on Trunks' completely defeated face, showing his tune had now completely changed about his arrival in the mortal realm, after feeling the force of the one known as the Godkiller. But alas, soon, his legs would also seem to have all their bones shattered, as they would give away, trembling before... Falling backwards, his body would finally slam on the ground by his backside, motionless. Trunks! Vegito! Get away from my son! As launching into a rage, watching what the Godkiller had done, his once other half would speed into action, the Devil Saiyan, flying with vitriol and rage towards Vegito, despite knowing how pointless it would be. flying with intense speed, getting closer and closer with the fused warrior target right in front. Oh, Vegeta! But with no worries at all, simultaneously raising an arm up with two fingers extended. I'll kill you! Now right at the face of Vegeta's impending attack, with Vegito's fingers just seemingly pointing up. Get down, boy! With a snap of his fingers and a smirk, mysteriously, Ultra Vegito would be so cocksure that this little exchange was already over. What is happening? And of course, he would be right, as on the exact moment the sound waves of this snap would flicker out, like it was some kind of kryptonite, Vegito's red seraphim eyes would burst open. No! As just like that, inexplicably, all of Vegeta's transformations would be removed, as he would be left floating still in the air, reverted back to base, pure confusion on his countenance. Before ultimately he would fall to the ground on his knees, right before us standing before him Vegito, who just mutters, "Now that's more like it. Remember who it is you're dealing with." What have you done to me? How are you controlling my body like this? I made you! Leaving the prince to struggle to one knee, attempting to push up, but it was like his own body was fighting against him. But standing tall in front, with his hands on his hips, like he were disciplining an unruly child, Vegito would look and respond, "You need to get one thing straight, Vegeta. You seem to believe you and Kakarot are what made me. That may have been true at one point, but don't forget how you stand here today. I am the one who spat you and Kakarot out, so get it right. You didn't make me, I made you." How could a fusion turn the tables like this? This is preposterous! This brutal comeback leaving Vegeta utterly speechless, just left in his own thoughts and shock at the truly four-dimensional power plays of Ultra Vegito. If you two are done bickering, I think it's time I made my leave. But as this would go on, the downed child of Rani would finally speak again, its curious words piquing Vegito's attention immediately. As with a smile, he would then continue, "You see, you can destroy this body all you want, but it's not mine. I have my own, and whatever happens to this one, I can just return back to mine. It's clear, this vessel has reached its limit, so congratulations on pulverizing another one of your sons. Farewell, until we meet again, Father." As immediately, with that goodbye, Trunks' Saiyan and red eyes would vanish, and his entire body, much like Vegeta's, would return to base, like the energy was sapped right out of him, his eyes blank and his breathing stunted, like he would be close to death. Trunks! And despite Vegeta's apparent lack of control of his body, his fatherly instincts would be too strong for even Vegito's control, it seems, as he would immediately yell and run at pace to his son. Trunks! Stay with me! Don't die like this! Grabbing onto his body quickly, desperately wishing for the body to live as if it were really his own. Where am I? But as this would go on, the scene would suddenly shift to somewhere else, and of all people, Lucifer, back in his original devil form, would be seen, completely healed, but absolutely just as bamboozled as us as to where he was now and how.
That Vegito! What has he done now?
And in a rapid panic, the Omnidevil would immediately begin rapidly turning from side to side, but all he would see is never-ending white, and not a single sign of an exit. Calm down.
What?
That is, until a commanding voice would be heard, stopping Lucifer in his tracks.
Who the hell are you?
Leaving Lucifer to turn around quickly, as right in front, a figure would stand with his arm and leg showing, letting out, "Do not be afraid. You are no longer in battle. This land is merely a domain of my own to talk to you. No one but you and I can enter or hear." As strangely and ironically, a domain just like Omni King Vegito would seemingly be in place. I am Akobel, Elder God and Archangel. As unbelievably standing there face to face with Lucifer would be none other than Akobel, one of the deities Lucifer had planned his entire life to take down.
What? You are an elder god? I don't believe it!
This announcement, however, not going down so easily for Lucifer. He had no reason to believe him, and after millennia, never meeting one, why now? But Akobel would just calmly respond, "Look deep into your senses. What energy do I have? You know it as a lowly god yourself, when in the presence of a being far above you, child." This patronization causing Lucifer to raise his fist in annoyance, yelling,
Fine! You are no mortal, I give you that! If you are an elder god, how pathetic you are! Coming for me in the middle of battle, at my weakest point!
But the Archangel would be unfazed, responding nonchalantly, "Must you children always think so much of yourselves? Listen here, had I wanted you dead, this would have been over a long time ago. And I'm not talking about a few minutes ago. I'm talking about the day of your birth to Rani. I was there, of course, as your father."
What? Father? You?
And instantly, of course, even more gobsmacked than when he learned of Rani's third child, Lucifer for the first time would learn the identity of his father, finally in his presence, but too shocked to know what was true or not. As Akobel would then respond, "Yes, I'm sure you knew of this in some way. You were always a step ahead, and that is because you are my son, the son of an elder god."
Shut up! That is not true! I'm here to kill you beings, to take your power and wield it myself! Look at me! We are nothing alike!
But soon enough, all of these revelations would just result in an angered Lucifer shouting back at his so-called father. Akobel's stance would remain placid though, responding, "How can it be nonsense when you know what I said was true? You knew you were different from the day you were born. Different than die. That was the entire reason you were banished to the demon realm in the first place. Remember, you did not always look the way you do. You were forced to.
What? Different than die? That can't be why Zeno did that. It's because I wouldn't bend my knee like a slave, like Dai did.
Exactly, Lucifer. Did you never wonder why you were like that? Why you surpassed your brother so much in strength, yet he was selected to be the Grand Priest? Why, unlike him, you could just not bow your head to that child, Zeno. It is because you are my son. Inside you knew your true heritage as a half-elder god who stood far above them, and they knew that too. Your threat proved too large, and before you could ever find out who you were or discover your true powers, you were sent away to rot.
That was why Zeno knew.
This explanation suddenly clicking into place so many things for the fallen angel, finding himself looking into his palm, wondering if the identity he knew of himself was really true. But soon, looking forward at Akobel, he would still question,
But why? Why would you help me? And don't insult my intelligence by saying it is because I'm your son. You have been gone for millennia, not out for milk. I seek your destruction, you and all the elder gods. I seek to never have anyone that can control my fate again.
And to this, with a stoic look but serious, Akobel would reply simply, because I have another path for you. One that reaches that goal of no one above you to control you anymore. Before immediately, the Archangel would dramatically swing his hand out straight at his son and say, discard this devilish energy and vengeful path you are on. Throw away this atrocity of an appearance and remember your birthright. You now know of your Archangel heritage, your Elder God heritage. And with that information, join our ranks, become the next Elder God, and eventually the successor to Zeus himself. What have you done? Why? Whose side are you even on, Vegito? Trunks, wake up! But back with the Saiyans, though Lucifer would not be there anymore apparently, the situation would seem just as dire. But an unimpressed with the noise Vegito would just respond, so overdramatic. He isn't even your son. He's a Vegeta from the future's son. This kid has been calling himself the God Killer of his timeline since I got here. That means he'll be fine. I've recovered from worse, even when fighting the Destroyers back in the day. What now? But the brief trip down memory lane would be ended abruptly when Vegito would sense something not right in his surroundings. As back at the scene of the large sea which Lucifer had supposedly met a watery grave in, small signs of light would be seen, growing in their intensity until full-on beams would shine in the sky until, in a sudden burst of water, an entire vertical vortex hurricane of seawater would explode out of the surface, all while that light would illuminate all through like it was an elaborate show. And in front row to see it all would of course be the one-winged Saiyan.
Well, I'll be. This isn't over, is it? But why doesn't it seem like the typical power-up?
But as he would look on, he would find himself involuntarily sweating and with his mouth ajar, as rain from the vortex dispersing down would fall over the ground and sea.
Who is that?
With strangely even Vegito confused over who had just emerged as rain would drop all over his face. A black silhouette within, but indeed, it did look a bit different to Lucif. So, this is what my true destiny was. To be my father's son. Archangel Lucif. Congratulations, God Killer. As suddenly emerging from the rain and water would be an all-new figure. Slim, toned, with arms covered in divine armor, as if it was his actual skin and not just something he wore. His eyes different. One a completed seraphim with 2 diamonds below now, and the other identical to his father, the Archangel Akubel. And as Vegito would watch and listen, there wouldn't be any big reaction. Some confidence still in his own power, but thinking, something's definitely changed. It's hard to tell if that's even Lucif now. The energy isn't anything like before. It doesn't seem evil. Before just like that, Vegito would jump up casually, reaching in front with a smile before questioning, Congratulations! On what, my friend? Well done on the weight loss, by the way. As the all-new Lucif would finally say, Congratulations, of course, on killing the Omni-Devil. And bringing out the birth of the newest Elder God. As with the sudden shift to a self-assured smirk, he would announce the true first arrival of the Elder Gods. Lucif's ascension had now gone beyond what could ever have been expected, and now the future of Ultra Vegito would be anyone's guess. But that was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag ElderGod in the comments down below and tell me just what kind of power had Lucif reached now. Or just find out what happens right now on my Patreon, where you can see the full next video, fully voice acted, soundtracked, and edited for you to enjoy with over 4,500 plus other fans, as well as getting access to 250 plus other fan mangas too. It's the deal of the century.